The Green Bay Packers are truly legendary. They've won more than 13 world championships, which is more than any other team in NFL history. They've also had some true characters, and I'm talking about the players, the coaches, and of course the fans.
Yeah, to celebrate the Packers, we asked Rob Reichel to join us. He's been covering the Packers for the Journal-Sentinel for more than a decade, which he said he doesn't like the sound of that because it makes him sound old, even though he's not. But he's written 4 books about the team, including his latest. This is called Packers Pride. Green Bay greats share their favorite memories. Hi, Rob.
Hi, guys.
Thanks
Good to be with you.
Great to have you here.
Yeah. Before we get into your book, let's talk a little bit about the season, yesterday's game. What'd you think? You've watched it 3 times already.
A very gutsy win. I was actually surprised. They've struggled in close games, guys, certainly since the McCarthy-Rodgers era has come together. But a really good win for them. They battled through a lot of adversity, lost 2 of their 3 best wide receivers.
And I think that's tricky. I mean, especially as the season goes on, if you hope to make it into the playoffs and you got people who are sidelined with injuries, it makes it tough. And I mean, they had a tough start. They're starting to win and pick up some wins, and you hate to see people hurt and out of the game.
It's going to be an interesting week over there. Their general manager, Ted Thompson, normally doesn't go out and get players from other teams via trade and future draft picks and things like that. I almost think if these guys are out a month or longer, something like that, he's going to have to in this situation, or they're going to really hit some bumps in the road here in the next month or so. So pay attention to that. It's going to be important.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. With moving forward, do you see us continuing to kind of win this season with what we've got still on the roster?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, with Rodgers under center, they'll always have a chance. The defense is much improved from where it's been. They can run the ball with the rookie Eddie Lacy and a pretty good offensive line now, which they never could. But the league is built on passing the football. And they're really down to 1 wide receiver that's of starting caliber and a pretty good tight end. And that's what they have right now. And they're going to have to go to war with that unless Ted Thompson finds a way to add another receiver or 2. That's if Cobb and James Jones are out for an extended period of time.
And that looks kind of iffy. We don't know for sure. Like, it might be not be as bad as we thought, which is...
with Green Bay, these injuries always tend to take a little longer, too, than they anticipate. If they say 2 weeks, it's 4 weeks is 6, and stuff like that. We'll find out more from Mike McCarthy today. Right now, it's just speculative. But I would have to think they're going to go at least 2, 3, 4 weeks without a couple of these guys.
Well, let's talk a little bit about LeRoy Butler. He's one of our buddies. He's on this show pretty regularly. We love talking to him. He's a great guy. What are your thoughts about him and what he... I mean, a lot of people know he's the inventor of the Lambeau Leap, so he's certainly made his contribution.
Well, when Triumph came to me with an ex-Packer that you think really will resonate with the people, resonate through the state. They wanted to combine an ex-Packer, a lot of his stories and thoughts, with me then chasing down several other former Packers, which is what we did inside this book. And the first guy that jumped to mind to me was LeRoy Butler. I mean, I grew up on the Packers, fell in love with them in the mid-'90s when they were winning a lot of games and eventually won the 1996 Super Bowl. And the guy who was honestly most honest, most accountable, most direct with the fans and the people in the state of Wisconsin, really the people that paid his salary and keep the franchise in the NFL alive, was LeRoy Butler. He would stand there game after game, week after week, answer every question until the time was expired inside the locker room. He gave the people, he gave the fans honest answers of what was going on, and really that's all fans want. And Butler kind of understood that, and he says at one stretch in this book, I felt it was my responsibility to give honest answers and be accountable really to the people who are out buying my jerseys, buying the cheeseheads, going to Shopko and buying everything in sight with Packers on it, things to that effect. And he did that, and really his stories then come across like that inside this book. He's got fabulous tales inside this book that I think people are going to read, and they're going to say, wow, I didn't know that, even though they might have paid attention and read every newspaper clipping and watched every game multiple times, from the 12 years that LeRoy Butler was on the team.
Jerry Kramer's another one you have in the book, right?
Yeah, we've got about 75 ex-Packers, Tiffany, in addition to LeRoy, inside the book. Kramer was obviously a guy in the glory years under Lombardi, won 5 championships in that time, had the key block in the Ice Bowl, which is the biggest game in franchise history, arguably. So, we go back, and what we try to do inside the book is take you through every era through every position, through every coaching staff. So, we go back into the 1940s where we found guys that played. Kramer was in the mid-60s, part of those championship teams. But we try to find a wide range of people, and not just the superstars guys, but maybe some mid-level and lesser-known guys that have really interesting stories as well. So, kind of like I said before, if you think you know everything there is about the Packers, you'll read this and you'll put it down and say, wow, I just learned 20 new things.
See, I think that's great. Donald Driver he's just got the greatest smile. He was obviously a standout player for the Green Bay Packers, but I love that you featured him too. I think he's done a lot in the community with Goodwill, for example, and his family. And Reggie White too. It's been interesting as we've talked with Packers players who played at the time that he was with the team. He was the real deal to them. He inspired people and was kind of like the guy who lifted everybody else up.
He really was, and Butler tells a great Reggie White story. I'll try to be quick with it. When Reggie showed up, he wanted all the guys to come to Bible study, 6 a.m. in the morning. And at the start, there were 3-4 guys coming. And he went to LeRoy and he said, how do I get guys to start coming to Bible study? Because faith was incredibly important to Reggie. And LeRoy said, you've got to get down to their level. You've got to reach out to them too. So Thursday nights were a big night for guys to go out. Reggie hated to go out. But he went out, had some sodas, had some wings with the guys on a Thursday night, was the first one there, was the last one to leave on a Thursday. The next morning, a Friday morning, 43 guys at Bible study. And LeRoy said, that's when I knew we were a team. That's when I knew we had a chance to beat Dallas, to beat San Francisco, to maybe start making a run. And Reggie was key to all that. He was unbelievably integral in that whole thing kind of moving forward. They needed that. And there's stories like that through the book that I think people are going to read and think are a lot of fun.
That's a really heartwarming story. I love that. You've got these great book signings coming up Thursday, October 24th at the Packers Pro Shop in Green Bay, or if you're here on the north side, Saturday the 16th of November at Barnes Noble right at Bayshore. So that's where you can get Packers Pride, the stories of the greats. So thanks for being here, Rob.
Thanks, guys. Had a lot of fun.
Great to talk to you.
You
Thank
too.
you so much.